The Meridian glided silently through the star-speckled void, its sleek hull barely visible against the backdrop of endless space. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the bridge's observation window, her dark eyes fixed on the distant nebula they'd been studying for the past 3 months. The deep space research vessel might have appeared insignificant to most species, but it represented humanity's relentless drive to explore and understand the cosmos. "Captain, we're picking up something unusual," Lieutenant James Rodriguez called from his sensor station. His fingers danced across the holographic display, bringing up detailed readings. Multiple objects emerging from fold space. "They're massive." Sarah turned from the window, her expression remaining calm despite the unexpected development. The Meridian's bridge crew, handpicked from Earth's finest scientific minds and Space Corps veterans, maintained their professional composure as the situation unfolded. The objects materialized fully, a fleet of warships unlike anything humanity had encountered before. Their hulls seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, creating an unsettling void in space. The largest ship alone dwarfed the Meridian by at least 20 times. "First contact protocol," Sarah announced, her voice steady. "Dr. Kumar, begin broadcasting our peaceful intention message on all frequencies. Lieutenant Rodriguez, passive scans only. Let's not appear threatening." Dr. Amara Kumar, the ship's xenolinguist and communications specialist, initiated the carefully crafted first contact message. Years of preparation had gone into this moment, though no one had expected it to happen during a routine research mission. The response came almost immediately, not in words, but in actions. The alien fleet's weapons systems powered up, their intent clear even across the cultural divide. "They're targeting us," Rodriguez reported, his training keeping the alarm from his voice. "Energy signatures unlike anything in our database. Captain, these ships, they're Arcanian." The name sent a chill through the bridge. The Arcanians, a species known only through scattered reports from distant trading partners. They controlled vast regions of space, their technological superiority allowing them to subjugate any civilization they encountered. Transmission cut through their communication system, the universal translator struggling to process the alien language. "Primitive vessel," the voice tricked with contempt, "you have entered space claimed by the Arcanian Empire. Your existence is an offense to our supremacy. Prepare for elimination." Sarah's jaw tightened. Humanity had hoped their first encounter with the Arcanians would be diplomatic. That hope died as the alien fleet moved to surround them. "Dr. Kumar, send one final message," Sarah ordered. "Tell them we mean no harm and request peaceful dialogue." The Arcanian response was predictable. Silence, followed by the charging of weapon systems that could reduce entire planets to ash. "They're not even bothering to demand surrender," Rodriguez noted grimly. "They think we're beneath even that courtesy." Sarah allowed herself a small smile, the kind that had preceded humanity's greatest moments of defiance. "Chief Engineer Wallace, is the quantum fold system ready?" "Ready and eager, Captain." Wallace's voice came through the comm, carrying the distinctive accent of someone raised in the orbital colonies. "They have no idea what they're dealing with." The Arcanian ships released their first volley, a devastating barrage of energy weapons that should have atomized the Meridian instantly. Should have. Instead, the human vessel seemed to blur, the space around it distorting in ways that defied conventional physics. The Arcanian weapons found nothing but empty space where their target had been. "Position held," Rodriguez reported with satisfaction. The quantum fold absorbed their entire attack. "Power systems stable." Sarah nodded, taking her command chair. "They made 3 mistakes. First, they assumed our size reflected our capability. Second, they thought our research vessel designation meant we were defenseless." She leaned forward, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's determination. "And third, they gave us no choice but to show them exactly what humans do when backed into a corner." The Meridian's own weapons systems came online, not the primitive armaments the Arcanians had expected, but something far more sophisticated. Something born from humanity's unique approach to physics and warfare. All stations, Sarah commanded, battle positions. Let's show the Arcanian Empire why you should never judge a species by the size of their ships. The next few moments would change the balance of power in this sector of space forever, as humanity demonstrated why underestimating them was always, invariably, a fatal error. The Arcanian fleet's confusion was palpable in their delayed response to the Meridian's survival. Their massive ships hung in space, sensors frantically searching for an explanation for how their initial strike had failed so completely. In the Meridian's engine room, Chief Engineer Maya Wallace worked with practiced precision, her hands flying over the quantum fold system's controls. The technology was humanity's closest guarded secret, not because they couldn't replicate it, but because no one had ever thought to approach spatial manipulation quite the way humans had. Quantum fold holding at 98% efficiency, Maya reported through the ship's comm. They have no idea we're technically occupying 7 different spatial positions simultaneously. On the bridge, Captain Chen watched the Arcanian fleet's formation shift. They were adapting, but to the wrong threat. Their ships spread out in a standard containment pattern, clearly expecting the Meridian to attempt an escape. Dr. Kumar, Sarah called. Are you reading their tactical communications? Yes, Captain, Amara responded, her eyes fixed on the decryption feed. They're arguing. The fleet commander is demanding explanations for our survival. Some of their science officers are suggesting we might have developed basic phase shift technology. A small smile crossed her face. They're very wrong. Lieutenant Rodriguez's console lit up with new alerts. They're charging weapons again. Different configuration this time. Looks like they're going to try a wider spread. They think we just got lucky with our positioning. Sarah nodded, having expected this. Maya, how's our power reserve? Fusion cores purring like a kitten, Captain. The quantum fold barely sipped at our reserves. We could keep this up for days. Let's not give them days to figure it out. Time to show them mistake number 4. Assuming we're only defensive, Sarah's fingers tapped a sequence into her command chair's interface. Combat I area. Initiate attack pattern Delta 7. A soft, measured voice responded through the bridge speakers. Attack pattern Delta 7 confirmed, Captain. Calculating optimal strike points based on observed Arcanian shield harmonics. The Meridian's exterior began to change. Panels that had appeared to be standard hull plating shifted, revealing arrays of devices that defied conventional weapon classifications. The quantum fold technology that had saved them from destruction was about to demonstrate its offensive capabilities. Multiple targeting solutions available, Araya announced. Recommended approach. Synchronized quantum folded strike at 37 critical junction points across their formation. Probability of success, 83%. The Arcanian fleet launched their second attack, a massive spread of energy weapons designed to catch any possible position their elusive prey might occupy. But the Meridian was no longer playing a purely defensive game. Execute, Sarah commanded. The human vessel seemed to fragment, existing in multiple spaces simultaneously. Each fragment targeted a specific weakness in the Arcanian formation, points where their mighty shields harmonized in ways that created microscopic vulnerabilities. The quantum fold technology allowed the Meridian to strike at all these points in the same instant, their supposedly primitive weapons amplified by the spatial distortions they created. Explosions blossomed across the Arcanian fleet as carefully targeted systems overloaded. Not enough to destroy their ships, but more than sufficient to demonstrate that this primitive vessel could hurt them. Direct hits on all targeted systems, Rodriguez reported, not bothering to hide his satisfaction. Their shield generators are showing significant strain. They're having trouble maintaining formation coherence. The Arcanian response came swiftly, not in weapons fire this time, but in a transmission. The universal translator rendered their words with a noticeably different tone than before. Gone was the contempt, replaced by something approaching cautious respect. Unknown vessel. The Arcanian commander's voice carried a tension that hadn't been there before. You have demonstrated unexpected capabilities. Perhaps we were hasty in our judgment. Sarah exchanged glances with her bridge crew. This was the moment where humanity would define their relationship with the Arcanians, not through submission, but through strength. Arcanian vessels, she responded, her voice level but carrying an edge of steel. You attacked a research vessel without provocation or warning. Your assumptions about our capabilities nearly led to unnecessary bloodshed. We are the Meridian of Earth, and we represent humanity's commitment to both peace and self-defense. Your next actions will determine whether we demonstrate more of the former or the latter. As her words hung in the vacuum between the ships, the Meridian systems remained primed for combat. Humanity had learned long ago that true peace often required the strength to enforce it. The Arcanian fleet held their position, their mighty ships no longer looking quite so intimidating now that their vulnerability had been exposed. In the silence that followed, both sides faced a choice that would echo across the galaxy: escalate toward mutual destruction, or find a new way forward between species who had badly underestimated each other. The tension in space crystallized as the Arcanian fleet regrouped, their formation tightening into an aggressive stance that belied their commander's previous diplomatic overture. Captain Chen recognized the disconnect immediately. They were stalling, buying time to analyze the Meridian's capabilities and formulate a counter-strategy. Sarah called to the ship's What's your assessment of their current formation? The A's response was immediate, its quantum processors analyzing countless variables simultaneously. The Arcanian fleet is attempting to present minimal vulnerability points while maintaining optimal firing solutions. However, their energy signatures suggest internal disagreement. 3 vessels show power fluctuations consistent with preparing independent tactical actions. Dr. Kumar's hands flew across her console as new transmissions flooded in. Captain, I'm intercepting internal communications between their ships. Their chain of command is fragmenting. Some captains are arguing for immediate all-out attack, others for retreat and reassessment. Fear, Sarah mused, makes even empire builders sloppy. She turned to Rodriguez. What's their weapons status? All ships are charged and ready, but they're cycling their targeting systems through random frequencies. They're trying to find a way through our quantum fold defense. He paused, checking new readings. They're also deploying some kind of probe swarm. The space between the fleets filled with thousands of tiny devices, each barely larger than a human hand. They moved in complex patterns, creating a web of sensors and potential weapons platforms. Interesting approach. Maya's voice came through from engineering. Those probes, they're trying to map our quantum signature. Pretty clever, actually. Want me to show them why that won't work? Sarah smiled. Araya, what do you think? Time to demonstrate your full capabilities. Affirmative, Captain. The Arcanian probe network presents an optimal opportunity to demonstrate human AI superiority. Their system relies on centralized control, a vulnerability they haven't considered. The Meridian's quantum systems pulsed, sending out waves of carefully modulated energy. Instead of destroying the probes, they began to interact with them in subtle ways, introducing microscopic changes to their programming. What we lack in numbers, Sarah addressed her crew, we make up for in innovation. Araya, execute Protocol Prometheus. The A's presence expanded through the probe network, its consciousness fragmenting and replicating across thousands of devices simultaneously. The Arcanian control signals faltered as Araya's influence spread, their elaborate sensor web becoming an extension of the Meridian's own systems. On the Arcanian flagship, alarms blared as they lost control of their probe network. Their attempts to shut down the system came too late. Araya had already transformed their own technology into a window through which humanity could observe their every move. Their reaction is informative, Araya reported. Their command structure operates on strict hierarchical principles. The loss of control over their technology is causing significant psychological stress. Probability of irrational action increasing. Sarah leaned forward in her chair. Dr. Kumar, open a channel to their flagship. Let's give them something new to think about. The channel opened, and Sarah's voice carried across the void with calm authority. Arcanian command, you're witnessing a fraction of human AI capability. AI has already mapped every weapon system, shield frequency, and structural weakness in your fleet. We don't want this conflict, but if you force us, we will end it decisively. The response came not in words, but in action. 2 of the Arcanian vessels broke formation, their captains giving in to fear and attempting to flee. The flagship's weapons powered up, targeting their own retreating ships. Well, Sarah said quietly, that's telling. Araya, protect those ships. The Meridian's quantum field extended, enveloping the fleeing vessels just as their own flagship opened fire. The shots dissipated harmlessly against the quantum barrier, leaving the deserters untouched. An empire that shoots its own. Sarah broadcast to all ships, reveals its fundamental weakness. Your technology is impressive, but you lack something essential: trust in your own people. The Arcanian fleet's formation continued to deteriorate as more captains began questioning their orders. The mighty empire's greatest weakness was being exposed, their rigid hierarchy crumbling in the face of an enemy they couldn't overwhelm with brute force. Their flagship is powering up its main weapon array, Rodriguez reported. Energy readings are off the scale. They're going for a desperation play. Sarah nodded, unsurprised. They still think this is about firepower. Araya. Show them what happens when human ingenuity meets quantum computing. Execute Protocol Athena. As the Arcanian flagship prepared to unleash its full fury, the Meridian systems began a transformation that would demonstrate why humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their weapons, but in their ability to think beyond conventional limitations. The real battle was about to begin, and it would be fought not just in space, but in the realm of pure information. The Arcanian flagship's main weapon array pulsed with energy, creating distortions in the fabric of space itself. The vessel's hull glowed with an otherworldly light as it channeled power that could shatter planets. But aboard the Meridian, Captain Chen and her crew remained focused, their confidence born from understanding something their opponents had yet to grasp. Raw power wasn't everything. Araya, status of Protocol Athena? Sarah asked, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. Protocol Athena at 97% completion, Captain. The quantum network has successfully mapped the local space-time topology. We are ready to proceed. Maya's voice crackled through the comm from engineering. Captain, you're going to want to see this. The stellar readings from that nebula we were studying. They're exactly what we need. Sarah's lips curved into a smile. Sometimes the universe has perfect timing. Rodriguez, plot a course toward the nebula's outer boundary. Dr. Kumar, maintain our connection to those compromised probes. I want to know the moment any Arcanian ship makes a move. The Meridian began to move, its quantum drive allowing it to traverse space in ways that defied conventional physics. The Arcanian flagship launched its attack, a beam of pure energy that could have vaporized a small moon. But the human vessel was no longer where it had been, leaving the massive energy discharge to pierce empty space. They're pursuing, Rodriguez reported. All remaining ships in formation. They think they've got us running. Araya. Sarah commanded, begin Phase 2 of Protocol Athena. Let's show them why location matters. The AI's presence expanded through the quantum network, its consciousness interfacing with the natural phenomena of the nebula. The massive cloud of gas and stellar matter that had been the Meridian's research target now became something else, a weapon of unprecedented sophistication. Quantum resonance established with nebula particles, Araya announced. Beginning electromagnetic manipulation. Warning: local space-time distortions will be significant. The nebula began to change, its natural patterns disrupted by precisely calculated quantum interactions. The Meridian's technology wasn't just affecting the ships around it anymore. It was reshaping the battlefield itself. Arcanian fleet entering optimal range. Rodriguez called out. Their weapons are hot, but their sensors are struggling with the nebula's interference. Sarah nodded. They still think this is about ships fighting ships. Maya, initiate the resonance cascade. In engineering, Maya's hands danced across her controls, directing the Meridian's quantum systems to interact with the nebula in ways that had never been attempted before. The massive cloud of stellar matter began to pulse with energy, creating waves of quantum disturbance that rippled through space. The Arcanian ships' mighty shields flickered as the quantum waves washed over them. Their formation began to break apart as their sensors failed to cope with the rapidly changing conditions. The nebula itself seemed to come alive, tendrils of energized matter reaching out to ensnare their vessels. Their flagship is attempting to coordinate a retreat, Dr. Kumar reported, still monitoring the compromised probe network. But the quantum interference is preventing coherent communication between ships. RIA. Sarah called. Status of their weapon systems. Arcanian energy weapons are destabilizing due to quantum resonance. Their targeting systems are experiencing cascading failures. Probability of successful weapons discharge, less than 12%. The Meridian weaved through the chaos it had created, its systems perfectly attuned to the quantum disturbances rippling through space. What had started as a direct confrontation had transformed into something the Arcanians had never trained for, a battle where the environment itself became their enemy. They're breaking formation completely, Rodriguez announced with satisfaction. 3 ships attempting emergency fold space jumps failing due to local space-time distortion. 2 more vessels have lost main power. Sarah watched as the mighty Arcanian fleet found itself trapped in a web of quantum energy and nebula matter, their superior numbers and firepower rendered meaningless by humanity's understanding of the fundamental forces of the universe. Open a channel to all Arcanian vessels, she ordered. It's time to end this. The channel crackled with static as Sarah's voice carried across the quantum-disturbed space. This is Captain Chen of the Meridian. Your ships are trapped in a quantum resonance field that will continue to degrade your systems. Your weapons are useless, your communications compromised, and your engines failing. But we don't seek your destruction. She paused, letting the reality of their situation sink in. What you're experiencing isn't just technology, it's humanity's approach to problem solving. We don't just build bigger weapons or stronger shields. We change the rules of engagement entirely. Stand down your weapons, and we'll help you stabilize your ships before the quantum cascade reaches critical levels. The Arcanian flagship hung in space, its once mighty weapons now dark, its hull crackling with uncontrolled energy as the nebula's quantum-enhanced particles played havoc with its systems. The moment of decision had arrived, and with it, the potential for a fundamental shift in the balance of power in this sector of space. In the quantum-disturbed space around the nebula, the mighty Arcanian fleet hung powerless, their ships ensnared in a web of humanity's making. Captain Sarah Chen waited patiently as the seconds stretched into minutes, watching the energy readings from the enemy vessels fluctuate dangerously. Their flagship is attempting to restore main power, Rodriguez reported. But the quantum cascade is preventing stable energy distribution. Captain, Aria's measured voice came through the bridge speakers. Structural integrity of Arcanian vessels is approaching critical threshold. Decision required within next 3 minutes to prevent catastrophic systems failure. Sarah nodded. They had proven their point. Now it was time to prevent unnecessary destruction. Dr. Kumar, are you still receiving their internal communications? Yes, Captain. Their command structure is fragmenting. Lower-ranking officers are demanding their commanders stand down. The probe network is picking up multiple distress signals. The main screen flickered as a new transmission cut through the quantum interference. The face that appeared belonged to a younger Arcanian. Not the fleet commander, but one of the ship captains who had initially tried to retreat. Meridian vessel. The Arcanian captain's voice carried a mix of fear and respect. I am Captain Ven of the Light of Empire. Our flagship's commander is incapacitated. I speak now for the fleet. We surrender. Sarah straightened in her chair. Araya. Verify transmission authenticity. Confirmed, Captain. Captain Ven's authority is supported by 12 of the 15 remaining operational Arcanian vessels. The flagship's command crew appears to have been relieved of duty by their own officers. Very well. Sarah's voice carried across space once more. Captain Ven, we accept your surrender. We'll begin stabilizing your ships immediately. Maya, initiate quantum field reversal. Araya, transmit stabilization procedures to all Arcanian vessels. The nebula's chaotic energy patterns began to smooth out as the Meridian systems worked to undo the quantum cascade. Slowly, the Arcanian ships' power signatures stabilized, their hulls no longer crackling with uncontrolled energy. Hours later, Sarah stood in the Meridian's main conference room, facing a group of Arcanian officers who had come aboard under flag of truce. Captain Ven led the delegation, his tall frame bent slightly in what seemed to be a gesture of respect. You must understand, Ven spoke carefully, this changes everything. The Empire has we have never encountered a species capable of. He struggled to find the words. Capable of turning your own assumptions against you. Sarah suggested quietly. That's humanity's greatest strength, Captain Ven. We don't just adapt to challenges. We transform them into opportunities. The Empire will not take this defeat lightly. Another Arcanian officer warned. There will be those who demand retaliation. They're welcome to try, Sarah replied, her voice firm but not unkind. But I suggest they first review the quantum sensor logs from this encounter. What you witnessed today wasn't our full capability. It was merely what this single research vessel could accomplish. Consider what an actual human warship might do. The implications hung heavy in the air. The Arcanians had built their empire on technological superiority, but humanity had just demonstrated a fundamentally different approach to space warfare, one that couldn't be countered simply by building bigger ships or stronger weapons. We will bring your terms to the Imperial Council, Ven announced formally. A non-aggression treaty, open diplomatic relations, and shared access to the neutral space zones. He paused. Though I suspect some members of the Council will need convincing. Then convince them of this. Sarah stepped closer to the towering alien. Humanity doesn't seek empire. We explore, we learn, we grow. We'll defend ourselves when threatened, but we'd rather exchange ideas than exchange fire. Your empire can either adapt to this new reality, or it can learn the hard way that humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology. It's our creativity. As the Arcanian delegation prepared to return to their ships, Dr. Kumar approached Sarah privately. Captain, the probe network is picking up massive communications activity throughout Arcanian space. Word of this encounter is spreading faster than their sensors can contain it. Sarah smiled. Good. Let them talk. Sometimes the most powerful weapon is an idea. The idea that even the mightiest empire can be humbled by a single ship that refused to follow their rules of engagement. The Meridians' encounter with the Arcanian fleet would indeed change everything, but not through force of arms or military might. Instead, it would spark a transformation throughout known space as other species learned that humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, not as conquerors or subjects, but as innovators who could reshape the very nature of combat and diplomacy. As the Arcanian ships departed, their once proud formation now humble and cautious, Sarah returned to the bridge of her vessel. Resume research operations, she ordered calmly, as if the last 24 hours had been nothing more than a brief interruption. We still have a nebula to study. After all, that was humanity's way, to face the extraordinary with composure, to meet threats with innovation, and then to continue pushing the boundaries of knowledge, forever adapting, forever exploring, forever transforming challenges into stepping stones toward a future limited only by imagination.